Hi, I'm Kristin Kodenski of Midnight Design and Promos. And we offer many marketing services, and one of our major ones is creating a website. These days, you don't need a brick and mortar all the time. Just a website is more important. Unfortunately, paper is not dead, but a website is more predominant than a brochure. And what's great about a website is that unlike a printed piece, it's always changing. You can constantly be updating it. And it's how people, it is basically your store these days. And your storefront, your sign, your brochure, it's everything all in one. And it's to access to the whole world. So a lot of people, even though it's always there, people don't really understand all the components to a website. So there's 6 major parts, and then I was thinking about it, and there's even more. So I want to break this down into a basic elementary 101 explanation. 6 parts to a website, and it can be broken down even further. And I want to go over the elementary basics. Number 1, strategy, design, and programming. That is, you can either do this yourself. You should always have a plan. Even if you're going to hire a professional, you should get your plan together. A lot of this even starts with your business plan if you're a new startup. And then it can be a hybrid. Make sure you work with a professional if you hire one. Second, you're going to need your domain. That's your street address, where you're located, how people find you. It's also called a URL. So you're going to need to get a domain. You don't need a professional email. You can have a Gmail address, but if you're going to be a professional business, and even if you have a personal address, it's good to have emails for different reasons. So having your own whatever, abcbusiness.com, and having info@abcbusiness.com, and everything through your website goes through that, then you know what information came from info and what information came personally to you. There's many reasons to have a professional email address that is associated with your domain. Back in the day, everything was hand-coded, but these days, there are many website platforms such as Shopify, WordPress, Wix, and I'm going to delve deeper into them. But you want to decide how you want to build your site. You can get websites through GoDaddy, High Level, HubSpot. Almost everyone is going to tell you they can build a website for you. The question is, what technology are you going to use, and what is the best decision for you for your needs and your budget and the functionalities that you want? Then look for those extra add-ons. So a lot of times people, and if you don't have from the beginning your strategy planned out, you might need to upgrade and in the future add. So what are the add-ons for a website? Are you going to have to is it going to be easily hacked? Are you going to have to update the apps and constantly be running maintenance on your website? Or are you going to need additional marketing features? Like if you're going to be sending email marketing and it is ran through your website to, instead of emailing to 200 people, you want to email your list is 5,000 people. Are you going to get really into forms and drip campaigns, and your forms, you want to do surveys and you want to collect all this data and you're going to need all these extra fields? Depending on the technology you choose, you may have to add on extras. So have that in mind when you're choosing how you're going to build your website. And then next steps, I kind of touched on it already, but I always say, if you build it, they won't just come. So it's not like Field of Dreams, if anyone remembers that old movie. So you have SEO, and I offer that as well, but I could go on and on just about SEO. There's review management, your blogs and SEO go hand in hand together. Content is king. You want to make sure your content is good. Are you constantly updating your site? There is, you want to have a landing page possibly with a strong call to action. And are you placing digital ads out there? There's omni-channel marketing where you reach people in multiple ways, whether it is through Google, Facebook, Instagram. how are you reaching these people? How are you delivering digital ads to them? Those digital ads, do they have a strong call to action? You're bringing them to a landing page with a form. These are all marketing things that you want to consider in the future. So just because you build a website, it, like I said, not like a printed piece in a brochure. It's not static and it just stands there. You might have been hearing some vocabulary and you're like, what does this mean? And they are also key components. That was a very high level I just explained. A website is essentially a bunch of files stored on a computer somewhere, and they contain folders which have text, images, which are PNG files, JPEG files. You can even have movie files. And all these files are stored to and programmed to run on browsers like Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. And the programming holds all the files together so that they can be displayed as a website. All of those files are stored on a server. When you go on your computer, you type in a URL on Google. You know someone's name, or you might even just put keywords in. That's where SEO comes in. If you put in keywords, SEO is going to drum up a list of websites, and then you're going to say, that's my website, abc.com. And it's going to search for it, and it's going to go, that is your domain. And you're going to say, I want to go to that address. I always think about it as like a house. A domain is your street address. Web hosting is like your rent or your mortgage. So, and people always wonder, what are the components that I have to pay for? So you will always have to pay for your domain. Now, it is the most economical part of the whole process, and you can buy your domain and pay for it for 5 years or 10 years and not worry about it. But that is one of the costs. So when someone types in the address, they say, I want to go to abc.com. It goes to that server, which is a computer that is somewhere in another state, wherever it could be. It could be located anywhere. And it's going to find that address. And inside that address is all those files we just talked about. And then that server sends those files back to you and shows you the beautiful website that it was programmed, how all those files stick together like a puzzle piece. So when you type in the domain, it goes to the server, and then it finds all of those. And it's not only just when I said it has text, pictures, and videos, it also has code. It has CSS code, HTML code, and JavaScript code. We'll talk more about that. So it receives the HTML for the structure of the page, the CSS for the design of the page, the pretty pictures, and what the headlines should all be the same. Everything should be consistently branding. Branding is another topic I speak about a lot, and CSS has a lot to do with branding. And then the JavaScript, which is how your site interacts on the web and all the dynamic components. Another component is web hosting, which is what I call like the rent. You have your street address, but you also got to pay your rent or your mortgage. So they also store the files. That's why they're charging you the rent. So that you have GoDaddy, Bluehost, but also services like Wix and Shopify. They might call it their premium plan, but what they're basically saying is that is the web hosting. So even if you decide to go with a service like Wix, you're essentially paying for web hosting. The question is, what do you get with the web hosting? Are you just storing my files, or are you also watching over them, making sure the service isn't being hacked? What kind of applications come at that level? So in the simplest format, hosting in some places just charge you to just store your files. Well, when you see all these price differences in web hosting, what are you getting for your web hosting? Back in the day, you used to have to hand code websites, and you used to have to hire a programmer. And times have changed. And now we have another component, which is the content management system, the CMS. And what CMS is platforms that allow you to create a website, even if you don't know programming, edit it, and publishing it. And all these different systems have a different degree of level of technology and education that you would need. You have WordPress sites, Shopify sites, you have Wix websites. I do them all. And I suggest the right technology for each. That is a whole nother thing to discuss. The pros and the cons for different platforms like WordPress versus Shopify versus High Level versus Wix. And we will discuss some of those in another lesson. It's not really a component of a website, but there are types of websites. You have static websites that are fixed and unchanging. You have dynamic websites that are changeable. A lot of times dynamic websites also, instead of changing it page by page, every page is the same, and you're really just changing a database because you have over 100 pages. So you're going to want to have a more dynamic site. And then you have e-commerce sites, which are stores. And there's also other terms that have been created like landing pages. These sites don't necessarily have a header and a footer. They want to more for sales and to lead the person. It's not a brochure site. See this, see our services, our about us, this and this and this. No. Call to action. This is why we're great. Here's all the reasons. It's a landing page. And instead of telling you about all of our services, I want to just tell you about this one offer. That is the purpose of a landing page. You also have funnels. Funnels are similar to landing pages. They are landing pages, but it's just the concept of funneling people from starting out big and getting their attention and narrowing it down to the ultimate goal, which is a sale or an interaction of your service or someone signing up for an event. So these are different types of websites that you can create, and those platforms have been set up. So Shopify, if your main purpose of your site is to mainly and primarily only to have a store, you may want a Shopify site. If you don't want a website, which I always think everyone should have a website and a purpose on a site, you may want just a funnel or a landing page. And if you want an economical site, if you want something that you can get in, if you want to change something at midnight and it's easy to use, and you may want to have a Wix website because it is easy to use. You can go into it. It's user friendly, and it's very economical. I hope from this video you now understand the components of a website and you're inspired to build your own. You can do it on your own, or you can hire a professional like myself. I'm going to go and have other classes to make this process a little easier as well, or maybe you have your site built and you just want to maintain it and update it. So check my classes out on the Great Discovery. The process when you're working with someone is, like I said, it starts with the project planning. So you want to discuss strategy, design, and programming. Then you have your concept and your design. Then you put it all together. You put all of the programming and your images and your videos and your content. Then you project test. You create a test site and you test it all out. Make sure everything is perfect. Make sure it's mobile friendly. Make sure all your forms work. And then you get the exciting part that you get to launch your site. And after it's launched, just because you build it, they will not come. I don't want to let you down. But then you get to market your site. So don't get buried in all these details. I'm making these details less scary, because also don't seek for perfection. Websites you can constantly be changing. Build it, keep building it, testing it, making it better so you can get on to the next step and market your site. And you can market your site through print, through digital ads. There are so many, through SEO. There's so many ways to market your site. So I wish you great success in your business. I look forward to learning more about you. Please like, follow, subscribe. I'm on all the platforms, and I hope you found this